our next speaker is going to be Department Junior, or I should say
Candidate.
it's a candidate for junior vice, and currently is our judge advocate. He served several years. Bill Matts, please come on up. And
Matt Bills, Dennis.
Matt Bills. Hey, what did I call you?
But Bill Matts.
Bill Matts.
But you know, I'll tell you right now, if I get elected junior vice commander and I someday become department commander, I'm not going to get upset and yell at people if they call me Commander Bill, because people have been calling me Bill Matthews my whole bloody life. So I've had four out of my last 5 bosses. You know, this one guy, maybe that's because he only sits 10 feet away from me, and when he mispronounces or calls me Bill, I ignore him. So I think it kind of sunk in that my name's Matt, not Bill. You know, so. I'll keep it short and brief because I like getting to the point. I don't pull any punches with people. What I'm going to say, John, is going to be news to you, Larry Hill and Lenny, because I don't know if you guys have seen the email yet, but I just found out last night as a result of things going on with Anago 23, and specifically filing their 990N, which was actually due last December, but they didn't get their annual financial report in. But basically, in a nutshell, so I went to file at our commander's insistence, you know, because they're going to get it to us, and we didn't want to wait any longer and potentially have them get a nasty letter from the IRS putting their tax exempt status in jeopardy. That the Urban Institute, that is where a chapter, if a chapter currently files its own 990N, no longer does that 990N filing. The IRS, as in the Internal Revenue Service, now does that. You now have to go to irs.gov and find the link to do it. They took that over as of February 29th, 2016. I haven't seen a press release specifically stating why that happened, but I can tell you that late last year, and like around first week of January, the Urban Institute's data servers and website got hacked, and it exposed the tax exempt ID numbers, contact information, principal officers, usernames, and password for tens of thousands of exempt organizations. Now, I'm not saying this to freak you out, because they realized it within a few days and then they reset everything. So like if you try, you know, if you didn't already have your stuff filed and you go and tried to say, oh crap, I forgot to file, and you tried to do it, they would have made you reset your password. So you don't have to worry about that, but now the IRS is doing it. So all that stuff that you entered to set up that account and all that, now because it's the IRS, just like the VA, it's a different government agency, you know, you got to do that all over again. So if there was ever an argument for a chapter to finally say, you know what, department file for me, I can't think of a better example than that. Because what should be a 5-minute process took me 30 minutes, and believe me when I tell you it is the most user-unfriendly website and form that I've ever filled in my entire life. And I've been using computers since I was 4 years old. So I'm just going to throw that out there, so if there's any departments in this district that are still filing your Chapter 990N e-postcard, you really need to think about whether you want to do that versus have the department do it. And if you decide you still want to do it, make damn sure you ask for help if you run into problems or don't understand something, because it's just like when you don't file your personal taxes, they're not going to ignore it. It's going to come home to roost.
I just want to add, we've always had to, Jim can testify, we've always had to try to get under the belt to get our 990 and everything, and this last year, Bill offered to do it for us, so now Matt. By the time you leave, I will have that straight.
Can I borrow that to hit you a couple times?
He's got trouble with names anyway.
Matt offered to file for it, and now he takes care of it for us, and like I said, it just relieves us immensely. So I do encourage you chapters to do that.
Dick?
You're doing ours.
Yes.
And we're all right.
Everybody that's filed by the department is A number 1 okay. And go ahead. Anybody else?
What about auxiliaries? You gonna start doing that too, or is that something?
Well, that's up to the auxiliary, we don't, they haven't, I've offered help, but the ladies say they got it, or I should say the ladies and the men, because they now have men that go to the auxiliary state convention. And for those that don't know, I am actually also an auxiliary member. So that was probably the biggest thing, and literally I just found this out last night. When I was at the hotel over here on my laptop trying to get some DAV business done. The other thing that I would mention to everybody as judge advocate is constitution and bylaws. If your chapter has any questions about your chapter constitution and bylaws, you know, like how long it's been, or should you consider updating it, or you lose your copy or something, contact state headquarters and myself, and we will get you a copy of what we have on file for you, or tell you when it was last revised.
Isn't it recommended that we review constitution and bylaws annually, if not biannually?
I don't say annually or biannually, I would say like every 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
The biggest reason to revise bylaws, and I've probably done in 5 years, I think I've done about 13, maybe 14 that I've helped people with. And I want to say that with the exception of one, they all went off without a hitch. One is just stuck in my craw and caused me no end of problems. But that being said, the main reason to revise it is that like a lot of times 20 years ago or something, or 30 years ago, chapters would say that, you know, they needed a quorum of 7 or 10 members. How many of you people have 15 or more members at every meeting for your chapter? Raise your hand. How many? Okay, so chapter 19, chapter 39. So look at your chapter constitution and bylaws. I suggest reducing that to 5. If you're higher than 5, you should really look at changing it. Now the process is very simple. Take it offline, you know, get with me, call me. If anybody needs my business card, I have a few with me. Otherwise, just go to the DAV-wisconsin.org website. Look for department roster. You'll find my name and contact information in there, my cell phone number, my email. If you call me during the day, I work, so I may answer it. I may just let it go to voicemail, but I will get back to you. Okay? Anybody have any questions on that topic?
He does a good job.
Thank you.
You're talking about 5 officers or 5
You can
members?
It can be whatever. It could be. It's usually got to be 3 officers. You know, at a minimum, you got to have your commander, your senior vice, your junior vice, one of those 3. You know, acting as, and I would think you'd have to have your adjutant and treasurer. You know, unless they're excused. You know, but generally speaking, what I've seen is 3 officers and at least 2 members. Now those 3 officers are also members, so technically you could get by with 3, but I just put it in there 5, otherwise it just seems kind of, I don't know, hinky in my opinion, you know. And in a nutshell, what will end up happening is that there's a template that you can use. You guys don't have to write this thing yourself. There's a suggested template that you can download on a computer. I mean, heck, if Richard Nolan can do it, anyone can do it. Right?
Hey.
Right, Richard?
Yeah, we've used
I mean,
this
you were like calling me like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Okay, Richard, we can do this. Did we get it done?
Right.
We got it done. So anybody should be able to do this. You know, it works best if you can do it, you know, via email, because a lot of times what I recommend is the chapter does the template, does the thing, sends it to myself, or sometimes they ask their district commander to look it over. You know, that way before everybody signs it and you vote on it, you know it's solid. You know, because that's what we did with Dick, right Dick?
Yes.
We went back and forth a couple times with email, got it all hammered out, you know, talked to a few of the other officers, kind of did the round robin thing, then they presented it to the chapter, easy peasy. So, there's that. The other thing that I would mention to you is your district commander Dennis Wood told you I'm running for junior vice. I have a few ideas. I realize that the 4 most dangerous words in the English language are "I have an idea," but it's really a good one, I promise. So, in a nutshell, in summary, I hope I can count on your support for Department Vice Commander. I think I've, done a good job as Department Judge Advocate, and a member of the Department Executive Committee. Demonstrated my competence, to the other department officers as well as the district officers on the exec board as well as the chapters. I've always been real approachable. I don't give anybody the stink eye or nothing like that. And I guess my big platform, and I really think you kind of have to have a platform if you want to go for higher offices, is kind of dovetailing into what John mentioned. To me, it's about relevance of the organization. Has anybody ever heard the term, if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, that you plan to fail? It's so true. If you don't decide where you want to be this year, 3 years, 5 years down the road and start getting that ball moving, you can't get it done. There's only so much change that, one person or even a group of people can accomplish in 1 year. You gotta look out there. How long have people been talking about we need to recruit younger members? We need to get DAV members that have jobs. We need to find a way to be more family friendly. Does anybody recall hearing that for less than the last 5 years? Anybody else? Okay. How many of you think we've got that done? Anybody believe that we've done that? No. Okay. The demographics are changing. What got us to join and what got a lot of you to join, it's a lot like the other veteran service organizations. You joined because your father joined, or you joined because an uncle joined, or you came back after you were done serving and somebody at the VA asked you to join, another veteran, a buddy or whatever. It doesn't work with that way with people 50 and under. We're not wired like that. We're not joiners. I can tell you that from personal experience. We're more into social media. We're more into texting and things like that. We have to go where the members are that we're trying to recruit. You're not going to find them at the Eagles Club. You're not going to find them sitting in the bar at the VFW or the Legion. They're just not there. They're working. They're raising families. There's people that got no arms and no legs that are working full-time jobs. They might be accountants, they might be using their tongue or their nose to type on a computer keyboard or using speech recognition software. It's a completely different demographic. We got to work on our messaging. We want to bring these people in and we want to be around and relevant in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We got to start doing it now. Can't keep talking about it. The entire organization, from the bottom up, has to buy into it, has to go out there and, make themselves approachable. Oh, Ron, right?
Yes, Rod.
Rod?
Yes.
So if I'm if I'm a prospective DAV member, let's say, I'm your neighbor, you see me all the time walking my dog, you see me wearing some military gear, maybe I got I run with a U.S. Army shirt or something, or you can tell there might be something wrong with my hip. What do you tell me about the DAV? What would you tell me?
And we're neighbors, so we already know each other.
Yeah, you already know me. We're not maybe best friends, we're not sitting there barbecuing every night. But you know my name, you know where I live.
I'd probably find out if you needed any medical help and see if you are, disabled and general. Try to get you into the organization and school you that way, and then train you on what the DAV really does.
Mentor.
Yes.
You take that person under your wing and say, hey, this is what the DAV is about, and I think you should consider it. Another example is somebody walks up to you, you're doing a forget-me-not at a Walmart. And they go, tell me about the DAV, to use John's example. So in 1 minute or less, why should I care about the disabled American veterans?
Do you care about the people that kept you free all those years?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's a good reason, right?
Is that all you got?
No,
But you get what I'm saying?
yes.
You got to be able to tell the story. You got to be able to sell it. To Lenny's point, he was a recruiter. Everybody needs to be a recruiter. My suggestion is, If you find out they're a veteran, ask them a little bit about where they served and when they served. People like to talk about themselves. Everybody does. Even John Pope, you know. Right, John?
Yes, I do. I got a lot to talk about.
But, you know, get them talking about themselves and about their experience. And if you served in the Army and you served in infantry, you got a bond there. You got a connection. Build on that, you know. Maybe, you know, if they're my age, what about the federal GI Bill? What about vocational rehabilitation? Hey, how are you getting your health care? You know, have you signed up for VA health care? We got to be about service. You know, that's what we should be focusing on. You get the people interested in the service aspect, because it's just like President Kennedy said, except it's in the reverse now. You know, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I'm sorry guys, but it's 180 degrees now. The newer veterans, the younger veterans, it isn't, you know, oh hey, we want to come on, you know, alongside, we're pumped about your mission, we want to help you and all that kind of stuff. You got to get us hooked. That's on you. You're the one asking us to join. So you guys got to do the sales job. That's the only way it's going to get better. Otherwise, there's going to be less people at the meetings, the numbers are going to drop. I'm the deputy adjutant for the Legion posted Fort Atkinson. This year, we recruited 30 new members. First time in 20 years that post has been 100% membership. Ask me how many members died in the last year. 24. We're net 6. That's not sustainable. I don't care if you're the Legion, the BFW, or the DAV. And it's the same thing with student veterans. You know, you guys got grandkids, some of you are grandparents, some of you have, you know, neighbors that you see, and you know the parents, and you know maybe the parents served in the military, maybe they're a member of the Legion but not the DAV, and you know they're eligible. Tell them about the scholarship type stuff that the DAV offers for volunteer hours. You know, we don't do a good job of getting that information out. And we just need to do a better job of outreach, and that's what I want to help do. Because I think there's some ways we can do it in a different perspective, and we need to just re-engage. You know, you can expect 3 or 4 people to do it for the whole organization, or everybody can join up, and it makes it a lot lighter load, and you get carried the torch a lot farther down the line. So I'd ask for your support to help do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. In my own defense, I gotta say, Matt, I've known your name. I've never had a problem with it before. But you know, when I realized that you've never been up here to the 4th District before, that just kind of turned me around. So now I had to turn your name around.
Yeah.
That's right.
So basically, you're saying you saw me, got all excited.
Right.
He likes your lips.
And you're running for what? Okay. At this time, now we've been running about 2 hours here. How many people would like a 5-minute break, just to stand up for a little bit, and then let's get right back in here and take care of the rest of our business, if that's okay with you. We'll take a 5-minute break, so then please get back to your seats promptly, and we'll carry on with regular business. 5 minutes. Stretch your legs a little bit, walk around.